Chennai? Is it visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So these are the topics. The first one is overview, file organization and access methods, computer security and protection, security threats, attacks and asserts, intruders, malicious softwares, protections, authentication and implementation. Okay, so there are various files in our system. It can be in form of PDF, it can be in form of folder, it can be in form of Word, audio. We need to manage all these files. So I can say that operating system is going to create such kind of illusion of the file, and the file means it is just a block in a memory. It is going to allocate some memory or deallocate some memory when you are creating or deleting the file. File manager in the operating system create the illusion that there are files and folder being stored in a computer memory, but it is just a memory location, nothing else. This is your hard disk where we are having track and sectors, and this hard disk is moving continuously, and in this track and sector the data are going to allocate and deallocate. So in file management system, I can say that file is a collection of related information, and the file extension are, we can say, .txt file and .doc file. The general file is a sequence of bits, bytes, lines and records. The example of files are text file is a sequence of character organized into line. Source file is a sequence of subroutines of the function. For example, F1, F2. Object file is a collection of words which is organized into some headers and record blocks. There are various attributes of files. The attributes are which is going to keep the track of file, the name. Everybody is having some attribute. Being a student, what are your attributes? You are having your name, address, phone number, your enrollment number, your branch, your semester. Same way the file is having name. So using that name, human can read that particular folder or file. It is having unique identifier number. File is having some type, object file, text file. File is having some location where it is going to store. It is having some particular size in KB, MB. File is having some permission, read, write, execute, access control permission. File can have some time and date on which it is going to create it is going to modify it, is going to delete it. File is having some user ID, user identification number. And you can perform various operations on file. For example, you can create a file, you can write something on file, you can read a file, you can repose in it the file, delete a file, you can truncate a file. And remaining topics related to file I have uploaded in my video of YouTube. So you please go through it. Now I'm going to start the topic security and protection from the same unit, unit 4. So there are two words, security and the protection. Now security deals with the external threats. When external problem will occur, we need a security, and protection deals with the internal threats. So for security and protection, generally we are using three terms: confidentiality, integrity and availability. Confidentiality means what? When we talk about the confidentiality of information, we are talking about protecting the information from the disclosure of unauthorized parties. Information has some value, especially in today's world. The bank account statement, personal information like credit card numbers, government documents. Everyone has information they wish to keep a secret. Protecting such information is very major part of a security. Suppose I am having my bank account number, I'm having credit card. I want to keep it secure. Nobody knows my credit card number. Nobody can know my user ID and password. Nobody can access my data other than me. So I need to keep such kind of information confidential. Everybody wants to keep such kind of information confidential. So a very key component of protecting information confidentiality would be an encryption. Encryption ensure that one right person who know that particular key can read that information. It is widespread in today's environment. So we know that there are some social security number, there are some credit card number. How we can keep it secure? By using encryption method. Computer, whenever I'm entering my number, it is going to encrypt it from one end and decrypt it from the another end. For that we are using public key and private key. Suppose you want to keep some jewelry in your home as a safe, then what you can do, you can lock your home as and when you are going somewhere using that particular key, and whenever you want to come back, you can again unlock that particular lock using that key. Same way, whenever you want to save your data, keep it confidential, computer applies the encryption and decryption algorithms. It can use the keys public key and private key. Public key is known to all, private key is known to that particular person which it belongs. Now, the second thing is integrity. Integrity means certain rules and regulation. Integrity is the information that refers to the protecting information from being modified from the unauthorized parties. Information only has value and it is correct. Information that has been tampered with the with could prove costly. For example, if you were sending an online money transfer of rupees 100, but the information was tampered as such a way that you actually sent $1,000, it could prove it to be very costly for you. So there are certain rules and regulations. For example, I'm telling that there is no employee in Indus University who is having salary less than 10,000 rupees. And when I'm entering data into that particular salary account, and if I have entered 100 rupees in place of 10,000 rupees, and that particular employee will going to get the 100 rupees, and which is a wrong data, which is a wrong information. So you need to follow certain rules and regulations. You can fire even the query of SQL database when you are creating that particular table. So with the data confidentiality, cryptography plays a very major role in ensuring the data integrity. Commonly used method to protect the data integrity include the hashing the data you receive and comparing it with the hash of the original message. This means that the hash of the original data must be provided to you in a secure fashion. More convenient method would be to use the existing scheme such as GPG, digital sign of the data. So hashing is a technique which is going to store the data and it is providing the security of your data. The next term related to security is availability. Availability is the information refers to ensuring that the unauthorized party are able to access the information as and when need. So whenever you need to use that software, whenever you need money from your account, it is available. As and when you need a service, that is available. So information only has the value if the right person can access it at the right time. Gaining access of information has become a very common attack nowadays. Almost every week you can find news about the high profile website being taken down by DDoS attack. The primary aim of DDoS attack is to deny users of website access to the resources. So denial of service attacks are there, which is going to hack your website and nobody can access that particular website or resources available on that website. It can down your website. So other factor that could lead to the lack of availability to important information may include accidents such as power outage, the natural disasters such as floods. How does one ensure the data availability? Backup is very important key of the data availability. Regularly doing off-site backup can limit the damage caused by the, I can say, natural disaster. For information services that is highly critical, redundancy might be appropriate. Having offsite location. So what is the we can say what we can do to provide availability of the resources and website and the data as and when person need. Sometimes some hacker can hack our website and it provides a denial of service attack, so we are not able to access that site can be down, and the natural flood, natural disaster can also make some problems, so we cannot use that website and services. So in that case, what we have to do, we have to take backup of our data. For example, if I'm using ATM of Axis Bank and there are some problem occur with that ATM, but even though I can access my money from the Baroda Bank or from any bank, why? Because they have created replicas or the backup of my data. It is stored everywhere, so I can access it and it is available anytime from anywhere I need. Security refers to providing a protection system to the computer system resources such as CPU, memory, disk, software programs, and most importantly, data and information stored into the computer system. If a computer program is run by the unauthorized user, then he or she may cause severe damages to the computer or stored data. So that computer system must be protected against unauthorized access to system memory, virus, worm. Now we are going to discuss the following topics in this chapter, right? So we have to protect our data, we have to protect our CPU, our memory disk from the unauthorized user, from the virus, from the malicious access. Now we are going to discuss the authentication, one-time password, program threats, system threats, computer system classification, computer security classification. Authentication means what? The person is authorized user. Suppose you are having license, means you are authorized to drive that particular car. You are having user ID and password, means you are able to access that particular software. So authentication will going to identify the user of the system and associating the executing program with those users. It is the responsibility of operating system to create a protection system which ensures that the user who is running a particular program is authentic. Operating system generally identifies the user using the following three ways. The first one is username and password. User need to enter a registered username and password with the operating system to log in into the system. Either user card or key you are having for the punching or the card slot, or you can enter a key to log in into the system. Sometimes we are having some iris protection system, thumbprint protection system. So we can open the lock, we can enter into that particular system. We can mark our attendance using the face recognition, using fingerprint recognition, using digital signature. So these are the way to find out this is the authenticated person. As in when we enter to the university, we have to do the thumb fingerprint mark. So our presence will going to notify. As and when we leave the campus, we again have to do the fingerprint mark. So these are the various way to identify the authenticated system. Why we are using such kind of digital security? Because these are the biometric security which are different from person to person. Even in the twins, we can say there are no similar iris, no similar chin, no similar thumbprint. Then there is a one-time password, as in when you are opening new account into the bank, or suppose I'm having Kotak Bank application and I want to transfer money to somebody else account. So at that time, it is going to generate one-time password, as in when you are entering some one-time password in doing any kind of shopping or any kind of, I can say, mobile recharge or any other transactions. So this is one authentication system, a one-time password which come to your registered mobile with the bank, and you can use that password. Even as in when I'm uninstalling and installing WhatsApp again, I'm getting one-time password. If I'm entering that with my authenticated mobile, then I can use it and install it. Now some random numbers. Users are provided cards having a number printed along with the corresponding alphabet. System asks for the number corresponding to few alphabets randomly chosen. Secret key. These are provided to a hardware devices which can create a secret ID mapped to the user ID. System asks for a secret ID which is to be generated every time prior to the login. Network password. Some commercial applications send one-time password to the user on registered mobile or email ID which is required to enter into the network prior the login. So these are the, I can say, authentication, way of authentication, which is going to find out, yes, this is the authorized user who can access this system or the program. Now program threats. Program threats can be a Trojan horse, it can be a trapdoor, it can be a logical bomb, it can be a virus. So operating system processes and the kernel do assign task. If user program made this process do malicious task, then it is known as a program threats. One of the common example of program threat is a program installed in a computer which can store and send the user credential via network. Means when it is going to do which is not required, a malicious task, then we can say there are some program threats. There are virus. Virus is nothing but one program made by the student like you. First time they have made the virus and installed into the computer. Virus is itself creating lots of replicas, copies of it, which is going to hack most of the storage space of your computer. For example, I'm downloading something through the mail, and maybe with that download there is a virus which is now come to my computer when I have downloaded that particular attachment with the mail, and this virus is creating lots of copies of itself, and it is going to take most of the storage space of my computer. So after some time, I'm not able to access the services available with my computer. The next is Trojan Horse. It is a program traps user login credentials and stores them and send to the malicious user, who can later log in into the computer, can access the resources. Now these are the Trojan horse which is going to hack the login credentials, login name and password. Trapdoors: if a program which is designed to work as required have security holes in its code and perform illegal action without the knowledge of the user. Trapdoor is a backdoor. For example, if I can talk about the, I can say, palace of the king, they are having some secret doors through which they can enter and they can exit somewhere else when some attacker comes. So same way, these are the trapdoors or the backdoor. They have created by the programmer while they are creating such a software, and through that particular trapdoor or this code, they can do the illegal actions or operation as and when they want. Logical bomb is a situation where program misbehaves only when certain condition met, otherwise it work as a genuine program and it is very hard to detect. Okay, so Trojan horse, let's see it in depth. What is it? It is a malicious program that is designed as authenticate real or genuine software. You can see this is a picture of a horse in which there are certain person inside. So Trojan horse was what was it? It is a gifted horse left outside the gates of Troy by the Greeks. Trojan horse appear to be useful and interesting in unsuspecting users, but they are actually harmful. This is the story. What Troy people have done? They have gifted one wooden horse to the Greek people, and that Greek people has they have kept that horse inside their palace. And once they have opened that particular horse, lots of people around that particular a big large size horse, and they have attacked to them. So same way, the Trojan horse is a threat which is going to attack into your program. Now what Trojan horse can do? It can erase or overwrite data of a computer. It can spread other virus or install the backdoor. In case the Trojan horse is known as a dropper. Setting up the networks of zombie computers in order to launch a denial of service attack or send a spam. Logging keystroke to steal information such as password or credit card number. It fishes for a bank or other account details which can be used for the criminal activities, or simply it is going to destroy your data. It can hack your password, it can make a backdoor, it can, I can say, phishing with your account details. It can use for the criminal kind of activity. It can simply destroy your data. So these are the activities done by the Trojan horse. Now sample delivery. Attacker will attach the Trojan horse to an email with an anteceding header. The Trojan horse is typically a Windows executable program file. It must have executable file extension such as .exe, .com, .bat. So these are the extension file. With this extension, the attacker can send to us through the mail. So as and when we are opening this mail or downloading this executable file, it will automatically download into our machine, execute into our machine. So since the window is configured by the default to hide the extension from the users, the Trojan horse extension might be marked by giving it a name such as readme.txt.exe. With the file extension hidden, the user would only see the readme.txt and could mistake, and it is going to open this harmless text file. I told you what is virus. Virus is self-replicating code. It attaches itself with the other program and executes secretly when the host program is executed. No hidden action generally tries to remain undetected, but about the activities such as detected, deleted the file. So it is going to create lots of copies of itself and replicate itself and take the memory space, hack the files. There are three parts of virus. First one is infection mechanism, second one is trigger, and the third one is payload. In infection mechanism, the means by which a virus spreads, enabling it to replicate, also referred as a infection vector. Trigger, the event or the condition that determines when the payload is activated or the delivered. Payload. The payload may involve damage or may involve beginning but noticeable activities. There are three parts. First is infection. It is going to spread. It is going to create the replicas. Second one is it is going to activate now. Third one is it start damaging your files. It is having some phases or the life cycle. Dormant phase, where the virus is idle. It is not going to create any kind of copy. It is just idle. Second thing is propagation phase, where the virus places an identical copy and start propagating, making copy of itself into the other program. Third phase is triggering phase. Now the virus is activated. It has created its lots of copies. Now it is going to perform the function which it was intended. Execution phase, and the function is performed and it has started corrupting our files. The next is backdoor or the trapdoor. You can see here the hidden door. So it is the secret entry point of program. I already explained you in past what King can do. In their palace they are keeping some secret doors, so as and when other we can say King attack on them, they can go outside from that particular secret door or the back door. So this is the secret entry point. In our computer language, programmer can make some kind of code that they can use later on for creating a harm to our computer system. It allows those who know the access by passing the usual security procedure. It remains hidden to the casual inspection. Can be a new program to be installed, can modify an existing program. Trapdoors can provide access to the system for the unauthorized procedure and are very hard to block into the operating system. It was already created when the file was created, so it is very hard to block in OS. It can modify your existing system. It can access your system. It can do, we can say, unauthorized procedure. System threats means what? System threats refers to the misuse of the system services and the network connection to put the user into the trouble. System threat can be used to launch the program threat on a complete network called as a program attack. System threats creates such environment that operating system resources, users, file are misused. The following are the list of well-known system threats. The first one is worm. Second one is port scanning, and the third one is denial of services. Worm means worm. Worm is the process which can be chalked down a system performance by using the system resources to extreme level. A worm process generates its multiple copies where each copy uses the resources, prevents all the other processes to get required resources. Worm processes can even shut down an entire network. It is like a virus. It can chop down the system. It can create lots of copies. It can even shut down your system. You are not able to even start your machine when worm attack your machine. Port scanning. Port scanning is a mechanism or the means by which hacker can detect system to make an attack on the system. Hacker can detect the system. Denial of services, as I already told you, it is preventing the user from using the system resources, website resources, legitimate use of your system. User may not able to use the internet, available services, browser content, settings. So these are the denial of services. It can deny your services. Worms can be transmitted via a software program, or computer worms could be arrive as an attachment in a spam email, instant messages. Once it is open, these files could be provided a link to malicious website, automatically download the computer worm. Once it's installed, the worm silently goes to the work and infect the machine without the user's knowledge. Keep an eye on your hard drive space. When the worm repeatedly replicates themselves, they start to use up the free space on your computer. Monitor the speed and performance. Has your computer seems a little sliding lately? Are some of your program crashing or not running properly? Could be red flag that worm is eating up your processing power. So you have to keep eyes on your hard drive. You have to see that the free space are somebody using or not. We can say it is going to start using the free space. It is going to we can say reduce the speed of your computer is not going to run properly. So you have to understand there is a red flag, the worm already entered into your machine and it is going to eat your processing power. Be on the lookout for missing or the new file. You can see that some of the files are deleted, replaced or missed. So you can see that worm has started its work. There are many different methods for carrying out the denial of attack services. The most common method of denial of attack occurs when attacker floods a network server with the traffic. This type of DOS attack, the attacker sends the several requests to the target server, overloading it with traffic. The service requests are legitimate and have fabricated return address which mislead the server when tries to authenticate the requester. And as the junk requester proceed constantly, the server is overwhelmed, which causes the denial of service attack condition. What it will do? It will flood your message. Somebody is sending something to the receiver. That message is going to flood many times, back to back, back to back. So it is going to jam your network. This is the normal communication. In between there is a attacker, which is into the middle of the way, and it is going to break the communication, and whatever message sender has to send to the receiver, that message it will going to send. And again it is going to fluid that message. So we can say network jam condition will going to happen. This message is not going to reach to the receiver. Okay, these are the directory structure and other file operation, single directory and all these things. 2-level directory, this I have already uploaded in my lecture. So you just go through my lecture, whatever related to the security I have explained.